I want you to walk into any completely average coffee shop, board any normal public train, or sit in the waiting room of any modern airport anywhere in the entire world and look very closely at the terrifying, completely silent reality happening all around you. You will see absolutely every single human being sitting completely motionless, their necks bent downward at a highly unnatural angle, completely hypnotized by a tiny, glowing rectangular screen in their hands. You will watch their thumbs aggressively, mindlessly scrolling through an endless, exhausting stream of brightly colored videos, temporary social media updates, and completely useless digital entertainment. They are completely oblivious to the physical world around them. Society has completely brainwashed the massive, compliant middle class into genuinely believing that these glowing devices are simply harmless tools for human connection and free entertainment. You have been heavily conditioned since the invention of the smartphone to believe that spending 5, 6, or 7 hours every single day consuming completely free digital content is just a normal, relaxing part of the modern human experience. But today, I am going to expose a psychological and financial reality so incredibly dark, so highly guarded, and so mathematically terrifying that you will absolutely never, ever look at your glowing smartphone screen the exact same way for the rest of your natural life. The massive, trillion-dollar global technology corporations do not offer you free social media platforms and completely free entertainment because they genuinely care about your human connection. They are operating the most highly optimized, brilliantly engineered, and mathematically ruthless psychological extraction machines in the entire history of human civilization. The true untouchable global elite completely understand that fiat currency is absolutely not the most valuable asset on the planet. The ultimate, absolute most valuable, highly finite asset in the entire universe is human attention and biological focus. In this massive video, we are going to violently unplug you from the toxic, soul-crushing illusion of the modern dopamine economy. We are going to expose the brutal mathematics of how the elite technology companies hire thousands of neuroscientists to legally hack your brain, explain the terrifying financial cost of losing your ability to focus, and show you exactly why the true masters of the economic universe aggressively protect their attention span like a massive, impenetrable titanium fortress. And if you stick with me until the absolute end of this video, I will give you the exact, step-by-step psychological escape plan to completely assassinate your digital addiction, permanently starve the algorithmic extraction machine, and transition from a highly hypnotized, heavily bleeding consumer into an untouchable, mathematically lethal master of absolute focus and wealth creation. To truly understand the absolute magnitude of this massive global psychological heist, we must completely deconstruct the exact biological mechanism that the massive technology corporations are actively weaponizing against you. Deep inside your human brain, there is a highly powerful, completely ancient chemical called dopamine. For thousands of years of primitive human evolution, dopamine was the exact biological reward system that drove humanity to survive. When a primitive hunter successfully found food, built a safe shelter, or achieved a massive, highly difficult goal, the human brain released a powerful surge of dopamine, creating a massive feeling of satisfaction and deep accomplishment. It was completely designed to reward extremely hard, physical, and highly productive labor. But the massive trillion-dollar technology corporations located in Silicon Valley deeply and profoundly understand this exact biological hardwiring, and they have made a highly calculated, mathematically ruthless decision to completely hijack it. They hired the absolute smartest, most highly educated behavioral psychologists and neuroscientists on the face of the planet to build completely invisible, highly aggressive algorithms designed entirely to artificially trigger your dopamine receptors without you ever actually achieving anything in the real physical world. Every single time you aggressively scroll your glowing screen and see a new brightly colored video, every single time you receive a tiny red notification bubble, and every single time a stranger likes your digital photo, your brain is violently injected with a tiny artificial hit of cheap, unearned dopamine. The massive algorithms are mathematically designed to learn exactly what completely hypnotizes you, constantly feeding you a highly curated, endless stream of digital garbage to keep you completely trapped on their platform for as many hours as humanly possible. You are absolutely not the customer of these massive, completely free digital platforms. You are the physical product being aggressively harvested, packaged, and completely sold to massive corporate advertisers. But let us look at the brutal, undeniable mathematical reality of exactly how this massive digital addiction is actively, permanently keeping you completely impoverished. The completely brainwashed middle-class citizen is highly obsessed with protecting the tiny amount of depreciating fiat currency sitting in their bank account. They will aggressively clip coupons, they will drive 10 extra miles to save $3 on a tank of gas, and they will passionately argue with a retail cashier over a completely meaningless 50-cent discount. But that exact same middle-class citizen will happily, willingly, and entirely blindly surrender 5 or 6 incredibly highly valuable hours of their human attention every single day to a glowing corporate screen. They completely fail to understand the absolute most fundamental rule of modern capitalism. Money is entirely simply a physical byproduct of completely focused human energy and dedicated time. If you completely surrender your focused energy and your physical time to a massive entertainment algorithm, it is mathematically entirely impossible for you to ever build true, multi-generational wealth. Let us imagine a completely average corporate employee who wants to start a highly scalable digital business to completely escape the exhausting rat race. They clock out of their depressing corporate job at 5 in the afternoon, they drive home, and they genuinely intend to spend the entire evening aggressively building their new business empire. But the exact second they sit down on their comfortable couch, the exhaustion of the day hits them, and they reach into their pocket to briefly check their glowing smartphone. The massive, highly predatory algorithm completely detects their presence. It immediately serves them a highly optimized, brightly colored video designed entirely to paralyze their attention. 1 minute turns into 10 minutes. 10 minutes turns into an hour. Before they even realize what has happened, it is midnight. They have violently bled out 5 incredibly valuable hours of human life, completely paralyzed on the couch, consuming endless digital garbage. Their energy is completely drained. Their business idea remains entirely unbuilt, and their financial future remains completely trapped inside the corporate matrix. The massive technology corporation successfully extracted their attention, monetized their eyeballs, and completely stole the exact human energy they desperately needed to build their own financial freedom. This is the exact fundamental difference between how the true global elite operate and how the highly compliant middle class operates in the modern digital economy. The massive, undeniable dividing line between the ultra-rich and the permanent poor is the exact difference between active production and passive consumption. The true untouchable masters of the economic universe completely view the modern internet and glowing technology solely as a highly aggressive weapon of mass distribution and extreme wealth creation. They aggressively use the massive algorithms to sell their high-ticket products, to completely build their massive personal brands, and to extract fiat currency from the completely hypnotized masses. They are the absolute, undeniable producers. The middle class completely views the modern internet as an incredibly cheap, highly accessible pacifier to temporarily numb the terrible, crushing pain of their totally unfulfilling, highly exhausting lives. They are the absolute, permanent consumers. If you were to look directly into the highly guarded private lives of the true multimillionaires and billionaires, you would discover a completely terrifying deeply psychological truth. The exact same massive tech executives who aggressively engineer the highly addictive social media algorithms completely refuse to let their own children use smartphones or tablets. They send their elite children to highly exclusive, incredibly expensive private schools where digital screens are completely banned. They deeply and profoundly understand that digital consumption is entirely the modern equivalent of a highly toxic, deeply paralyzing chemical drug. They are completely actively selling the digital drug to the deeply insecure, exhausted middle class, while forcefully keeping their own elite families completely clean and highly focused. The elite completely guard their physical attention exactly like they guard a massive, heavy iron vault filled with solid gold bricks. They entirely understand that absolute, uninterrupted human focus is the exact literal currency that builds massive global empires. If your human brain is completely constantly overstimulated by massive, endless streams of cheap digital dopamine, you entirely lose the biological capacity to do incredibly hard, highly complex, deeply boring work. Building a massive commercial real estate portfolio is incredibly boring. Reading complex corporate tax strategy documents is deeply exhausting. Actively building a highly scalable software business requires hundreds of completely silent, highly frustrating hours of uninterrupted focus. If your deeply fried, highly addicted brain requires a completely new, brightly colored digital stimulation every 15 seconds just to feel normal, you are mathematically absolutely guaranteed to permanently remain in the working class matrix forever. The massive corporations have successfully entirely lobbied your own brain chemistry to ensure you never, ever possess the biological attention span required to become a massive financial threat to their global monopoly. If you are listening to this exact sentence right now, and you feel a massive, heavy iron blindfold violently ripping off your face, completely realizing that your entire lifelong addiction to free digital entertainment has been completely weaponized against your financial future, keeping you permanently trapped in a cycle of exhausting corporate labor, you are officially stepping completely out of the dopamine matrix. But I must issue a very serious, incredibly urgent warning right now. Transitioning into a highly focused, elite producer lifestyle is incredibly psychologically painful at the very beginning. Your completely fried, highly addicted brain will aggressively fight you. You will experience massive physical withdrawal symptoms. You will feel an intense, burning anxiety when you are entirely separated from your glowing screen. You must be completely mentally prepared to endure this temporary, absolutely terrifying psychological pain in order to secure your permanent, absolute financial freedom and entirely reclaim your own human mind. Grab a heavy pen and a blank piece of paper right now. Eliminate absolutely all digital distractions completely. Around you, violently turn off your glowing television screen and strictly prepare to execute this actionable step-by-step escape plan to permanently assassinate your digital addiction, completely disconnect from the toxic entertainment matrix, and forcefully transition from a highly hypnotized, heavily bleeding consumer into an untouchable, mathematically lethal master of absolute focus. Rule number 1. You must completely, radically, and violently execute a massive dopamine detox starting this exact second. You must permanently stop viewing your smartphone as a harmless entertainment device. You must deeply and profoundly understand that the glowing screen in your pocket is a highly radioactive, deeply dangerous extraction device completely designed by billionaires to harvest your life force. You must aggressively and ruthlessly delete absolutely all highly addictive social media applications, infinite scrolling platforms, and completely useless digital games from your personal device. You must aggressively turn your phone screen entirely to a dull, boring black and white grayscale mode to completely destroy the bright artificial colors that illegally trigger your dopamine receptors. Your new, absolute permanent goal is to completely starve the corporate algorithms and forcefully take back absolute, total ownership of your own human attention. Rule number 2. You must aggressively initiate a massive, relentless transition from a passive consumer into a highly lethal, completely active producer. You must completely and violently assassinate the toxic, impulsive middle-class desire to sit on the couch and watch other people live their lives on a glowing screen. The exact massive hours of human energy that you violently reclaim from the digital entertainment matrix must be aggressively, entirely redirected into building your own invisible financial fortress. You must use that massive block of highly focused time to aggressively build high-income skills, aggressively research commercial real estate acquisitions, or completely construct a highly scalable digital business. You completely stop watching highly produced videos about luxury cars, and you start aggressively building the exact wealth required to buy the entire car dealership. You completely trade the cheap, temporary dopamine of digital entertainment for the permanent, absolute titanium armor of true generational financial independence. Rule number 3. You must completely embrace the absolute, undeniable superpower of extreme, uninterrupted deep work. The modern world is completely filled with highly distracted, deeply unfocused, mentally fragile competitors. This is an absolute massive, completely highly lucrative advantage for the awake elite. If you can simply aggressively train your human mind to sit in absolute, complete silence and focus intensely on a single, highly complex financial task for 4 uninterrupted hours a day, you will completely mathematically obliterate absolutely everyone else in your industry. You must physically lock your smartphone in a completely different room when you are working. You must aggressively build massive, heavy iron boundaries entirely around your productive time. By remaining completely silent, highly disconnected, and ruthlessly focused, you create an absolute quiet, completely unbothered sanctuary where your true wealth can violently compound and multiply entirely in the dark. Let us completely summarize this brutal, completely mind-bending psychological reality before you go out and take massive, life-changing action today. The modern digital economy is a perfectly designed, highly efficient psychological trap. They aggressively and constantly weaponize your primitive biological dopamine receptors to legally extract your incredibly valuable human attention, completely converting your lost time into massive corporate profits. The traditional societal behavior to constantly remain plugged in, highly entertained, and permanently distracted is the absolute most dangerous, toxic, and mathematically destructive lifestyle in the modern world. It mathematically guarantees that you will completely remain a highly drained, constantly bleeding target, permanently trapped on an exhausting, rusty hamster wheel of endless consumption. The absolute only possible way to completely win this entirely rigged game is to violently unplug yourself from the dopamine matrix, aggressively reclaim your biological focus, and forcefully adopt the invisible, untouchable, godlike lifestyle of a completely focused producer, exactly like a true master of the universe. If this terrifying, reality-shattering psychological information finally completely opened your eyes, if you feel like I just violently ripped you entirely out of the dopamine matrix and finally handed you the absolute dark truth about exactly who is actually stealing your human energy, then I absolutely need you to completely destroy that button and aggressively subscribe to the channel right now. You absolutely cannot afford to miss the extremely high-level, highly aggressive wealth-building strategies we have coming up next on this massive, reality-breaking channel. And speaking of massive financial traps that are specifically engineered to completely lock up your highly valuable capital and mathematically guarantee that Wall Street violently extracts massive, completely unjustified fees from your life savings while you are entirely terrified to even touch your own money. If you truly want to deeply understand the absolute biggest, most highly manipulative lie ever told by the traditional retirement industry, and exactly how the concept of the standard 401k plan is a massive, incredibly toxic psychological prison designed entirely to lock your money away until you are completely too old to actually enjoy it, You absolutely have to watch this video right here on the screen. In it, I completely and ruthlessly break down the ultimate Wall Street lockup illusion, and I show you exactly why the true elite completely refuse to hand their capital over to greedy, highly paid mutual fund managers, choosing instead to aggressively build massive private empires they completely control today. Click that video right now. Your future, highly focused, absolutely untethered, and permanently free self will eternally thank you. I will see you over there on the completely other side.